In this video, I'm going to show you how to do a crow pose. A crow pose is a very fun arm balance. It's a beginner-friendly arm balance, usually one of the first ones that we learn. So I've got a couple of blocks here. I'll show you some variations with and without the block. So jumping right in, for crow pose, we're going to get started making sure I'm going to place my hands down on the mat, making sure my fingers are nice and wide. And I'm going to use my fingers as grippers. So I'm going to press my fingers in, down and in, and I'm squeezing everything in to create stability through the shoulders here. That stability is going to give me a nice strong foundation to balance on. So plant the hands about shoulder width distance apart, just like this. I'm going to bring my gaze straight down, and then I'm going to curl my toes under, lift up my hips, and bring my knees behind my triceps. Now you can bring your knee anywhere from your elbow to your armpit. It doesn't really matter, just whatever's most comfortable for you. But when we start to transition into more advanced variations of our crow pose, like a flying crow, it's easier if the knee is closer to the elbow here than to the armpit. So just something to keep in mind if you want to start to work your way into some other transitions. It might be easier to start with the knee closer to the elbow here. So I'm going to plant the hands, lift the hips, bring my knees behind my triceps here, and then I'm just going to come up onto my toes, shift my weight forward, and come up onto my tippy toes. Now you can lift one foot up, you can lift both feet, or you can lift both feet here and balance, and then squeeze my hamstrings, bring my heels up and in, and just gaze straight down. And just make sure you're breathing. Everything is nice and strong, nice and engaged. And then come on back down. And so that's your crow pose, okay? Now keep in mind it might take you some time to get there, so just be patient with all of these arm balances, inversions, everything in this mini course. It might take a little bit of time to get there. So just keep that in mind as you start to practice, start to play around. Now, if you are brand new and you're just getting started, you might want to utilize some blocks here. So you can place a block down on the mat and use it as like a perch for your crow. So what I'm going to do is place the block on the floor here on the mat, and then come up bring my feet up onto the block. And this is just going to give my hips a little bit of a lift. So same thing, bring my knees to my triceps, hinge forward, come up. You can hang out right here, lift one foot, lift the other, or maybe lift both and try and find your balance here. And then come back down on the block. So you can use this block for that. Now, if you're afraid of falling forward, you can use another block, sort of just to help bring the mat up closer to you and rest your forehead on the block here. So if I use this block, I can move into my crow, and this block will be here for my forehead to rest on, just in case I want to practice. So you can use that block. You can also remove this block here, and then just have that block just in case you fall forward and you don't want to face plant. So you can use this block here. But again, my knee, make sure, just main things here, make sure your elbows are in and your biceps are rotated forwards. So your elbows aren't splayed out like this. Your elbows are back, biceps are forward here, and squeezing everything down and in to create that stabilization. So that's your crow pose. So have fun with it, work your way into it, and happy flying.